NBA takes a night off, so we're going to compose ourselves, take a breath, and take a glance across the NBA landscape. Who's where they're supposed to be? Who's surprising? Who's not? What do we think is going on here? It's all right now on the Locked On NBA podcast.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NBA podcast. Thank you for making this show one of your first listens every day, part of your daily routine. And Jake, we always seem to luck out on the lowest whatever the lightest schedule is, we seem to catch it, and we're catching it today on the no games at all being played. So we're going to have some fun with today's podcast. By the way, Wednesday means it's us. I'm John Karalis, host of the Locked On Celtics podcast. Find me on Twitter at John_.
And I'm Jake Madison, host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast. You can find me on Twitter. It's at NOLA Jake. It feels like fall break in college or something like that. Where you don't really should get days off, but you actually are. So take advantage of them.
Yeah, it's you've had that initial run, and it's like the shock to your body. So you got to take an off day and be like, okay, I got to ease my way back into this. Can't go full bore right away. So let's take a look. You know, this is a little bit more than 10% of the league schedule has been completed. There are some surprises. There are some things that are going kind of how we thought. We get to take maybe a victory lap or two. We're going to do it all thanks to LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/on-NBA. Thank you, LinkedIn, for sponsoring today's show. So let's start. What do you want to start? East or West? Do you want
to? Let's do East. Let's do East first.
Okay. Eastern Conference. Milwaukee Bucks are 9-1. The standings currently: Cleveland at 8-2, Celtics and Hawks at 7-3, Raptors at 6-5, Bulls 6-6, Pacers at 5-5, Knicks 5-5, Wizards 5-6, Sixers 5-6 outside of the playoff picture now, but Brooklyn, Miami, Charlotte, Detroit, Orlando. What are you thinking here? What's the most surprising of these things to you?
It's Cleveland, right? Like it's easily Cleveland being 8-2, sitting second there. You know, I think some people maybe questioned how much of a difference maker Donovan Mitchell was going to be for them, but he's clearly been a big spark. And that's just a young team that seems like they're about a year too early to compete at this level. It remains to be seen if they'll do this over the whole year. They were good last year and then really faded down the stretch too, right? So hopefully they don't try and fall into that same kind of trap again. But I think them being at 8-2, looking really good, just finally getting their second loss of the season to the Clippers the other night is the most surprising thing. But then you look at the roster and it's just filled with solid guys. You know, we discount Kevin Love coming off the bench, but he's still a valuable guy that can just go and play basketball at a high level. There's young talent in Jarrett Allen, Mitchell, Darius Garland. They look like a pretty good team. They fly around. There's a lot of energy. They're super fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not for people who follow my podcast, who watch the Celtics lose to the Cavs twice in overtime. But yeah, they are a fun team. I am also a bit surprised that they're this good. I thought that they'd be good, but this good right now, doing it across the board. They're fourth in offensive efficiency, second in defense. This team is legit right now. And they're not just doing it by guys hitting a ton of shots or anything like that. Donovan Mitchell is being a superstar. Darius Garland is a star. Evan Mobley. They've really figured out pretty quickly how to play well together. And I think this stems back, and I'm going to go into my next team and look at the difference between these two teams. Donovan Mitchell gets traded to Cleveland and immediately contacts the team and immediately meets them. I think there was some kind of off-season gathering, and he joins the team immediately. Everything is just, we're going to dive in. We're doing this, and he buys in just right off the bat. And that's kind of showing. they had a season last year where things went really, really well. Then they had some injuries and then things started to fall apart a little bit. This is a great example of buy-in, effort, star players, young players, veterans, and that's a nice mix. Will they level off at some point? Yeah, probably, but I don't think there's a significant drop off in
You
what
don't worry about
they're
them going into like the play-in tournament or something like that, right?
No,
It seems like
no.
this is going to be a top 6 seed no matter what, at the very least. As you said, they're solid on offense, they're solid on defense, they're really well-rounded. They have a bench too. Like also, I just love them. They are so much fun. Like that's the best way to put it. I love watching them on League Pass.
And then let's contrast that with the Philadelphia 76ers, who are one of my disappointments here because everybody was looking at the Sixers as they had a great offseason. They brought in some really good role players. They had a James Harden that was theoretically in shape and and he is in shape. It's not like he's not it's not like he's last few minutes in Houston, but the buy-in isn't there. And I looked at a team, I expected them to be right away at the top. You could have flipped these two teams, Cleveland and Philly, and I wouldn't have been surprised. Doing this podcast today, I wouldn't have been surprised if Philly was 8-2 and they're 5-6 and slowly figuring out, and we could say they'll take some time and they'll mesh. The Sixers, I don't see the buy-in from James Harden. I don't see first of all, Embiid, I don't think is healthy.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that he's missed a couple of games, right? And then like their big offseason move of really getting PJ Tucker like hasn't panned out in the way that they were really hoping for. He's averaging under 6 points per game. They have like a few good guys, and then the depth I feel starts to get pretty thin pretty quickly.
I was just looking at this Sixers team and with Doc Rivers as the coach, and can they get some 08 Celtics type vibe where Doc was the coach there? And the reason I thought possible was Harden has gone through a few different teams now, and it's not worked. I mean, this is the time where Harden knows it doesn't matter how he plays, he's going to get a contract. He now needs to win to solidify a legacy. Embiid has gone just all out to try to win MVPs, and it hasn't worked out. And it's hurt him. And I was thinking, hey, maybe Embiid gets it now. Maybe Harden gets it now. And they say, okay, you know what? We've done our own individual things. Let's just put some of that individual stuff aside and let's really lean into it. Let's work with all of these other guys. And I just don't see it. I just don't see them wanting to work through the things that they need to work through. I don't see these to sacrifice the things that they need to sacrifice to make themselves as good as they can be, because I think they could be a top 2 or 3 seed. And I just don't think mentally, I don't think they have it within them level.
Yeah, look, Doc Rivers is going to get fired, right? It feels like Doc Rivers is going to get fired. They need a scapegoat. They need kind of a fall guy, and it feels like this is going to fall on him because there's just no way to really change that roster up significantly, though Daryl Morey is going to be looking to do that. It almost feels inevitable that he's going to be the next head coach that's going to be canned. Let me ask you about your thoughts on the Milwaukee Bucks. They're 9-1. They lead that conference. And this is just kind of like what I thought they were going to be. Their expectation because of Giannis is just so high that we should have looked at them when they were 9-0, been like, look at how good this team is. And instead it's just kind of like, yep, that's the status quo. Yep. That is the expectation that Giannis has created and how talented he is, which is a little bit wild to think about when you have a team that was that good running the table in the NBA and everyone's like, yeah, that's what they should have been. They're not overachieving or anything. This is exactly what I expected.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that loss to Boston in the playoffs, even without Chris Middleton, they saw an opportunity there to get past Boston, and they couldn't do it. And I think that's fueling them a little bit. I think Giannis is just that good. I think that's a team that knows, like, it's very simple. They know who they are. They know what they do well. They do it, and they have the best player in the league. And that's it. There's no learning process. There's no curve here for them. They do what they do, and they've tweaked their defense a little bit, but they basically do what they do. They do it well. Next. And yeah, they'll hit here, there. They'll sit Giannis and lose a game here or there. But this is exactly what we thought from the Bucks. No one is surprised by this. This was a very popular pick for champion in the NBA this year. And yeah, everybody's looking at it going, of course, they're
they're doing it without Middleton, which I think is kind of that's the part that's like, oh, okay, yeah, they're really good because they'll get him back and that adds to it. But this just, again, it speaks to Giannis, right? This is what a Giannis team is supposed to be doing, and they're doing it. And it's nice to see that he's living up to these MVP-esque level expectations.
Let's quickly run through some of our other surprises. Miami Heat at 4-7. Didn't really expect that. They have had some tough losses. They've dealt without Jimmy Butler. Kyle Lowry has not been himself entirely. They're a team that I still trust. Maybe whip off 4 or 5 wins and get right back into it. Obviously, no one is officially out of anything at this point, but that's having Miami tied with the Nets down outside of the in a not what I expected.
No, what about the Indiana Pacers too? This is a team that's going to be such an annoying out for any team they play on any given night because they shoot a bazillion threes and they have a million guys that can hit those threes too. They're sitting at 5-5 in the middle of that pack. I don't think they're going to be good overall. Like, they're going to be worse than 500. They're going to beat some teams that they have no business beating and impact the playoff race and things like that in the East. And they're just going to be like this fun young team that's kind of flying around.
Yeah, I still think that they're going to make a trade at some point to kind
Feels
of
like they should
tamp it down. I think one thing we're seeing across the board, and we'll shift over to the Western Conference in just a second, but we're seeing across the board these teams that are like, hey, you know what? We're not here to just sit here and be your punching bags. I wonder how much the Wembanyama big tankathon that everybody was talking about preseason, these are guys with pride. They are NBA players, and it may not be the best collection of talent. If I'm an NBA player playing for the Pacers or the Jazz, and I'm like, what do you mean I'm supposed to lose? I am, not me. I don't care what they want to do. Trade me if you want, but I'm not going out there to lose. Effort, especially early on, against some of these teams that might be trying to ramp up. Effort's going to win you some games. Just pure, we're going to play harder. We're going to play with a chip on our shoulders. That's going to win you some games. I think that's fueling teams like Indiana and some of these other teams that were supposed to be worse than expected.
Yeah, I agree. It's been fun that this isn't just the tank fest that we thought it might be for a number of folks here.
Hey, we got a real fake with Dwight Howard coming up, debate a little bit. We'll get you a little. He signed with Taiwan. Is this it? Is this his fate? That's coming up next. Western Conference will come up after the break. But first, we got to talk about LinkedIn. From a background of small business with up, I know how important it is to just have the right people to choose from. It's not even just hiring the right person, yes, but it's getting that pool where you can make sure you're whittling it down. And this is where LinkedIn Jobs really helps. They help you find the right people for your team faster. You can create a job on LinkedIn Jobs, a posting clicks. Very, very easy. You add your purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word, and then you get simple tools to whittle down. It's basically, we're talking about the NBA. It's basically like tryouts and training camp. You want to get the best team? You got to start cutting people. There's simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on the candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA. You can listen to Locked On Celtics too, but Locked On NBA, your first listen every day. after you're done with this and after you're done with my podcast and Jake's podcast, go to Locked On Sports Today. It's every sport, every big story out there, just about 20 minutes per show. You're going to get all the games that matter, all the biggest stories with insights that only Locked On insiders, the local experts can provide. Find it wherever you found this podcast. You can watch the show on YouTube, Locked On Sports Today. Western Conference. Let's take a look at what we've got here. The Utah
this
Jazz.
One's easy, right? Like the biggest surprise, probably in all of the NBA, is the Utah Jazz, right? We've got to start there. They lead the Western Conference with a 9-3 record after they traded away Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert for a boatload of picks. Seemed like they were for sure tanking. Not the case, and I don't think they are. I think a lot of people expected them to fade after they started like 3-0, right? 4-1, 4-0, whatever it was. And I don't see this team necessarily going away. I don't think they're good enough to make a deep playoff run, but they're good enough to be a top 6 seed if they play with this same kind of energy that they do. Jordan Clarkson sliding into that kind of starter role and playing this team first basketball while also being a lethal scorer and a lethal shooter really works. Lauri Markkanen is the clear front runner for most improved player. He's clearly running away with that right now. Yeah. They are aggressive. They're big. They like to grab offensive boards, giving them second chance points. I've seen them in person. They're a fun team to watch as well, and they got some young guys they really like too.
Every year there's a team that everybody writes off right away, and they just have that like dancing on the sidelines, having a good time kind of vibe, that feel of you want to write us off? Go ahead, write us off. We're not writing ourselves off. Markkanen is a great example of a guy who, in a certain circumstance, and one of the most popular phrases in the NBA is "situation matters." In a certain circumstance, he is maybe not your best second or third. Hey, I'm not saying he's the best first option either, but given the opportunity to do his thing and play his game without worrying about anything, has kind of unlocked him a little bit, and he's not exactly lighting it up from deep, and that could get him a little bit, that could boost him a little bit more. But you look at 22 points, almost 9 rebounds, almost 3 assists. He's turning it over less than 2 per game. He's doing a little bit of everything. It's really nice to see that type of production. You're getting from Kelly Olynyk, Mike Conley, Colin Sexton. There are intriguing bits of talent here. They were never intended to build a roster around these guys, but you get a bunch of guys, like I said, that have this chip on their shoulder. Suddenly the motivation becomes, hey, you know what? Middle finger to the world, man. We're not going to let you dictate our success. It's a long season. I don't want to be sitting here crying through the whole season. So they are figuring it out. Plus, they've got Will Hardy, who is a really good coach, who is a great hire, and also doesn't want to have his record come out. What head coach wants to come out and be willingly going to go 20-62? No, you want wins on your record too. So again, Utah probably going to make some trades. This one might say Danny Ainge is going, oh my God, they're 9-3. We're supposed to be tanking.
He's definitely not. I think he's liking this and enjoying this and wants to win and succeed in that job. At the end of the day, that's what everyone wants to do. You make a really good point about that. No one's here to be like, let's lose.
Right. But also, I think Danny Ainge is sitting there going like, yes, Lauri, yes, increase your value. Yes, everybody, increase your value. Now somebody comes along and says, whoa, we need a third star. We need a third guy. Look at what he's been. Incorporate that in our team. And you start giving up the assets, what he can get for Lauri Markkanen now versus what he could get for what he gave up for Lauri Markkanen. Obviously, he was part of the Donovan Mitchell trade, but like in an individual sense, what you would have gotten in just Lauri Markkanen trade before the season and now. So I think the Jazz start, and I think Danny Ainge is happy with this start too, because he has players now that he can flip and get more assets, and they'll level off I think, at some point. But as long as he can get more assets out of this team, I think he's happy with how things are going right now. By Christmas, let's visit it at Christmas. Maybe they'll still be up here.
Yeah,
How about
the next one though, by the way, similar boat, Portland Trailblazers, right? Like they've been surprising too.
Yeah, Blazers. I mean, look, it's as simple to me. It's as simple as, Dame. When
the
Dame
Dame
healthy,
revenge tour.
yeah, this is the same Blazers team that not the same team, but like it's the same effect. Healthy Dame, all of a sudden, everybody is better, and then you got Simons going, crazy and having a great start to the season, and some of the other pieces are it's everything's working together, but it's all about Dame. And if Dame is healthy, the Blazers have always had a shot. Doesn't matter who's next to him. If Dame is healthy, the Blazers can be a top team. If he's not, then down they go, down to the bottom. That's what I expect out of the Blazers.
Yeah, look, like Simons is like younger CJ McCollum for them. He fills that exact same role. He's kind of the same kind of player. They just now actually have some wing depth in Jeremy Grant and Josh Hart, who hit the game winner the other night. So that's, I think, what boosted them. But I mean, Dame scored near 30 points a game, get in the line almost like 10 times per, just being his usual self. Yeah, that's going to take you at least to the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, the Blazers are a bit of a surprise. In some sense, but also no, like them winning a bunch of games with Damian Lillard being healthy, and like you said, a lot of good athleticism around him. It works. Where else are we going to go in the West? How about? Okay, I'm a little surprised at the Warriors for being at 4-7, but I can tell you, I don't care that the Warriors are 4-7. How are you? I see you nodding.
Yeah, it's kind of like the reverse of the Milwaukee Bucks, that like the expectations here just don't matter. They should be better than 4-7. They're clearly working through the two timeline things, and that's not leading to the best results for them. But at the same point, like I don't care. They get into the postseason, they do what they do. We saw it last year, and they're completely fine. So this is a team that until they're not in the postseason or they lose in the play-in tournament again or something like that, I'm not concerned about. They get the benefit of the doubt from me on all of this.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of talk about the lineups that they're using, and Jordan Poole is not really living up to the big contract that he just got, and I think we have to understand that there's some level of these guys are older. They just came off a deep run. They're not going to be giving it 100. And they are trying lineups that they're not going to use. As far as I'm concerned, for the Warriors. And even though these games count, and the standings, they exist in the standings, I don't think they give a damn where they finish in the standings right now. Now, at the same point, you don't want to go too far down the standings to start ramping it up too soon. But look at who's above them: Oklahoma City, Portland. You can say Utah. Those three of those teams at least. Maybe Portland has four. You can look at those teams and say teams will all drop, and so that puts Golden State right now. Let's just pretend that those teams are normal, and you move Golden State up 4 spots. That puts them in the 8th seed. And I think if I'm the Warriors, I'm kind of banking on those teams will level off. We will find our footing. We're going to ramp things up, but we need to know which of these lineups, which of these young guys, who can we start to count on? Let's give these guys some confidence. And then when we need to start winning games, we'll start to lessen some of these things, and we'll start to pump up some minutes here or there, and we'll get there. I don't know if the Warriors are going to win the championship again this year, but I fully expect that when we have this conversation in March, that the Warriors will not be 2 games out of the.
No, they're going to be just fine. Again, they get the benefit of the doubt. It's same thing with like a Popovich team, and you look at the Spurs in the West, and they're kind of competitive at 5 and 6, and it's just like, yeah, this is what he does, even with not a ton of talent and some underachievers there, and takes them pretty far. So they're kind of expected to be there. With that same record, though, you have the Minnesota Timberwolves made the big move to go all in for Rudy Gobert, and that's not paying the right kind of dividends, I think, that they wanted to see at least early on in the year, which is a little surprising because you figured he would be like the most plug and play ready guy of all of the big moves this offseason. You park him down low, you let him play defense, that wins you games. And they're ranked 9th in defensive efficiency, but it's not necessarily translating to the wins and losses. And some of their losses have been, frankly, pretty bad and by double digits.
Buddy, I got things to say about the Minnesota Timberwolves. And we're going long as it is, so I am going and then talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Get to our real or fake about Dwight Howard. But first, let me tell you about betonline.net, the number one source for sports betting information, stats, news, analysis, anything that you want. If you're laying a few bucks down on a game, you want to be at betonline.net. You get the odds, the trends, every pro sport, amateur leagues, international sport, ball, basketball, soccer, esports, sure. Go for it. It's all there at BetOnline. And if you love podcasts, I would hope if you're listening to the sound of my voice that you are somebody who loves podcasts, you can get those at BetOnline too. It's always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. So head on over to the website. You can use your mobile device if you'd like to. BetOnline, where the game starts. Please gamble responsibly. And as always, we thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. It is on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. We each have podcasts that you should be listening to. Locked On Celtics, Locked On Pelicans, every team in the NBA, every team that we're talking about, check out their podcasts as they go through their same evaluations over the course of this week. So you can get a sense of what the local experts are saying, especially Locked On Timberwolves. I've been getting some grief on Twitter because I tweeted out after a play. I was just kind of stood there with his hands on his hips, call for him, and he just didn't move, didn't do anything. Guys came in. It was really funny to me because a guy came in to set a screen for him and then slipped the screen as if oh, okay, here's, and I slipped the screen. And another guy comes in and does it. And Anthony Edwards he's not for him. He's being a little brat. You put that together with Karl Anthony Towns saying, yeah, I think you guys think it's funny about when he says he goes to Popeyes, but I don't think it's funny. And Ant saying a couple of times, yeah, I play better in the small lineups, or why aren't you dunking? Well, it's hard for me to dunk when there's two big guys in there. And people in Minnesota say, that's just Anthony Edwards. That's just who he is. No. When you say things like that out loud, you might be stating things matter-of-factly, but that stuff wears on a player, first of all. Not happy with this situation. Ant is clearly not happy, not 100% happy, because when you stand out there with your hands on your hips when a play is not run for you, I don't care if you're supposed to be the decoy. You don't broadcast to everybody that you're the decoy. I'm not surprised, and I wouldn't normally say I'm worried about the Timberwolves at 5-6. They're 3.5 games out of first, and it's just switched the clock back. So it's not a big deal. They didn't have a training camp together. The Eurobasket, and they went to the finals. So it's a slower ramp up for him. Cat was out, and they need to figure out how to play together. There's a lot that the Timberwolves, much like the Warriors, they also need to figure things out. This is very much a preseason still for them as well. They could very easily turn it around. But this Anthony Edwards situation has to be fixed. To figure out, first of all, how to get him, and that could be part of this whole preseason, regular season thing that I'm talking about, but also happy enough with how things are going where he's not making the comments and not acting this way. Because if he continues down this road, it won't be long before we're saying, wow, Anthony Edwards is pissed off in Minnesota. He's not now, but I think that's a
but he kind of is. He called him soft the other day. He said they've been playing soft. They've been playing without like toughness. It seems that kind of like bothers him. And then when you watch them play, it's like, oh yeah, they are a little soft. And for a team with Rudy Gobert, you feel like that shouldn't be the case. And maybe it's what you said. They just got to spend some time together building that chemistry. As plug and play as Rudy Gobert is, it does change your lineups, your rotations, the combinations that guys are used to playing with. I also wonder if, not having Patrick Beverley there really hurts them a little bit with some of the things that they might need to. He gave them that sort of edge that they went into the play-in tournament with last season, which I think was important for them too. So to not have a guy like that there, I think does hurt. They definitely are missing something, but as you said, it's early on. We're taking stock of the league as it is right now, and as it is, this is where the Timberwolves are, and there's a little bit of cause for concern, I think.
Yeah, a little bit, and I want to be clear, not a lot. It's okay, not great. They have a negative point differential. Okay, not great. They're only 4-4 at home. That's also not great. There's a lot that's not great. There's potential there, but they have a lot to figure out, and I'm willing to give them time because they've got a good coach and they've got talent and they have plenty of time to figure out how to use this talent. But they do have a lot to figure out, and I think that's in all of my Western Conference stuff that we're talking about. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they made the biggest splash. I think they have a big spotlight on them. I'm a little surprised that just not how poorly it's going, but just how many little kind of nagging extraneous things are part of their equation right now. And that's it. If the Timberwolves end up at the 4th seed by the end of the season, I wouldn't be shocked. So I still want to make sure, like, hey, Timberwolves fans, I still think your team can
stay out of your mentions.
Pretty good, but you got, what I mean? But don't come at me and tell me that everything's just okay with Anthony Edwards, because I don't think everything's okay there. Let's wrap up the show with the little thing we like to do every week called Real or Fake, and it comes after Dwight Howard ends up back on the basketball floor in Taiwan. He's going to sign with a team that I don't want to put, Taiwan Leopards. And he's going to play pro ball in Taiwan. So he turns 37. He'll turn 37 over there. And my real or fake question to you, Jake Madison, is real or fake? Dwight Howard is done in the NBA, will never set foot as an active player on an NBA floor again. Real or fake?
I think it's real. This is the type of move that says there was no clear interest by any team to sign him. This is not, let's wait and go in January, after there may be some 10 days and things like that given out. This was like, I know an offer's not coming. Let me go make some more money. Let me go play basketball and let me go do this right now. As you mentioned, he's going to turn 37. Last season, he averaged just a smidge over 6 points per game. He's not the same kind of player that he was before. He's not the same rebounder, not the same shot blocker. If he doesn't bring you that, there's other guys you can get. Tristan Thompson's unsigned. Hassan Whiteside's unsigned. Whiteside probably fills that Dwight Howard role. Yeah, I mean, you're laughing at me here at those two names being thrown out, and it sounds pretty bad. But
listen, go ahead, finish your thought.
No, it's like, look, I'm picking those names over Dwight Howard, which probably tells you all you need to know about Dwight Howard and where he's at in his career, which is done. So real.
As a guy who covers the Celtics and their current big man situation, these are names I hear every day. Yeah, every day. Hey, this guy's Derek Favors. Derek Favors is out there. There's I'm a Whiteside. How about people mention Dwight too? It's like, hey, come on, he can't be good enough. How can he not be good enough to help the Celtics? Just in a pinch. He's not. Jake, your answer sounds correct. It should be correct. It's not correct.
Oh,
it's not. It's not often I tell you you're wrong, Jake. But the reason why that statement is fake is because he went to Taiwan for a reason. He went to Taiwan specifically to get back into the NBA, to go out there and prove, hey, I still got something. I know I'm almost 37, but I still got something for somebody. So he's going to go out there. He's going to probably put up some decent numbers because he's big.
Of course he will.
And he's still probably bigger. 37 in the NBA. His 37 in the NBA is more like probably like 40 something. His 37 in Taiwan is probably like 31. So he's going to feel like he's a little younger, a little more athletic, bigger, more dominant than some of the guys that are out there. A lot of the guys that are out there. He's going to put up some numbers, and somebody's going to be like, whew, okay, yeah, he looks good. And I know the NBA is different, but he still looks good. You know what? I got a 10-day for him. I got a 10-day, prove it to me. Come back here and prove to me that you can do it. So while I think for all intents and purposes, the statement that Dwight Howard is done, will never be an active player in the NBA again, is basically correct. It's basically real because he's not going to be an impact player anymore. I think some team is going to and give him a 10-day to see can he use whatever he's doing out there, bring it back with whatever confidence or his stamina, his that he's been playing basketball, so he's in some sort of basketball shape. And you say, hey, it's a 10-day contract. Who gives a crap? Well, if he sucks at the end of the 10-day, we'll not offer him another one. He can just sit on the bench for 10 days. Congratulations. Here's like what, $40,000 and go back or go start your wrestling career.
I wasn't expecting you to end on that right there. Yeah. Maybe I just wonder, there's a risk if he doesn't look that good in this league, then it's going to scare people off. But you're right. It's 100%. More like he's not a 37-year-old player there. It's going to be very, very different. He's still Jimmer Fredette puts up huge numbers overseas, right? And looks amazing. Yeah. And people still bring his name up. I don't know. We'll see. I think he's done, but I can see a 10-day in the future. Look, it's not like Hassan Whiteside's name inspires confidence on a 10-day deal or something like that.
But he's like Jake Paul. Dwight Howard's like Jake Paul. He's going to go out there. He's beating up on tomato cans. He's going to make himself look good. If Jake Paul actually fought an actual boxer, he'd get knocked out in 45 seconds. But he's out there fighting these, has-beens and tomato cans, and he's getting his wins. That's what Dwight Howard's trying to do. He's going to go out there and try to beat up on guys that have are so far from the NBA, probably the level pro that I played in. He could probably kick in whatever. But he's picking on people like that. He's not picking on NBA players. He's going to get his chance in the NBA, and he's going to get knocked out in 45 seconds. And people can go, oh, right. Okay. Yep. Sorry. Our bad. Thank you. That was a waste of a 10-day, but good luck. That's it. All right. I know when Jake is completely silent, either his internet has gone out, but he just turned.
No, it's working here.
So no, he's done. He's done with the podcast. So, and probably just at the right time. So thanks everybody for listening, for watching and all of that. Again, check out today, go get behind the scenes, local experts, only like Locked On can provide from all sports across the major pro sports landscape. It's a great podcast. Get about 20 minutes. Tomorrow is Nick Angstead, Pat the Designer. So check out them. Make sure you're subscribed. As always on Wednesdays, it's us. It's John Karalis, Locked On Celtics podcast at John_Karalis.
I'm Jake Madison, host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast at NOLA Jake on Twitter.
Thanks for subscribing. If you're not subscribed, if you are subscribed, then share the podcast. Tell your friends and family and everybody listening to and watching the Locked On NBA podcast here on the team every day.